Okay, previous class we understand applicability of accounting standards. Now next topic is preface to accounting standards. Preface to accounting standard means generally accounting standards are applicable to all industries or it is restricted or exempted to some industries. Means on what basis accounting standards will be applicable industry wise. That is called as preface to accounting standards. Okay. So preface to accounting standards, once again I am explaining. It means accounting standards are applicable to all types of industries or it will be applicable to restricted number of industries only or limited number of industries only. So on what basis accounting standards will be applicable is called as preface to accounting standards. Clear? Actually this preface to accounting standard word is not important for students. Important for students is what? Key on what basis accounting standards are applicable. What guidelines Ministry of Corporate Affairs set while accounting standards are applicable or industries have to apply accounting standard while preparing financial statements. Clear? Like in India, every person has to pay tax. No. Means any person whose income is more than the limit prescribed by government, that person only liable to pay tax. Rest of the persons not required to pay any tax. So here also for every company or every enterprise accounting standards have to be complied? No. This will depends on one criteria. What is that criteria? Commercial parlance. Commercial parlance means if any organization which is generating the revenue, even 1% of revenue is coming from commercial activities and 99% revenue is coming from non-commercial activities, then accounting standard is applicable for entire undertaking. Example, E Limited is the organization. A Limited 99% activities are non-commercial in nature and 1% activity is commercial in nature. So 1% activity commercial means even 99% activities are non-commercial, accounting standards will be applicable or entire entity. It means accounting standards applicability depends on nature of activities. If nature of activities are commercial, then accounting standards are applicable. This is the criteria of applicability of standard. The standard is not decided on the basis of generally big size industry, small size industry or profitable industry, non-profitable industry, charitable, non-charitable, or this is not. Commercial, non-commercial activities are the important area of consideration. So if activities are non-commercial in nature, then 100% activities are non-commercial in nature, then accounting standards not applicable. Even if 1% activities are commercial, then accounting standards applicable. So example, already I mentioned here, A Limited 99% activities non-commercial, but 1% activities are commercial. Then on entire A Limited balance sheet, P&L statement, all financial data, accounting standards have to be applicable. Means in every area wherever accounting part is there, as balance sheet, P&L, cash flow statement, A Limited has to use and comply with accounting standards. Some students think that sir only 1% revenue is coming from commercial now. So for that portion only accounting standard should be applicable. Remaining 99% not applicable means not correct. Even if 1% revenue coming from commercial, 99% not coming from commercial, accounting standards will be applicable on 100% accounting data. This is the methodology of applicability of standards. Understand? Suppose if one organization is there, 100% activities are non-commercial, means charitable type, no commercial, nothing commercialized this. Suppose one orphanage is there, one trust is there, one foundation is there. So 100% activities are non-commercial. So in that, accounting standards are not applicable. Okay. Example. Nowadays, people are generally having the access with different types of trusts and foundations. So one of the foundation is also there in Tamil Nadu, Isha Foundation. Clear? So Isha Foundation, previously only they are in non-commercial activities. Means the person who run the Isha Foundation, that person is providing some spiritual knowledge to everybody, not only from one particular religion, everybody, and some health related tips, and also how to live in a society. In this area also he will conduct the workshop. So his income totally, whatever is coming, revenue and whatever different types of incomes he generated, that is non-commercial activity. But in recent years they decided to sell different types of books, products on means e-commerce platform, Amazon, Flipkart. Now because of this commercialization attract. Now on entire Isha Foundation, financial statements if they prepare, accounting standards will be applicable. This is the criteria. Suppose if Isha Foundation is exempted in income tax law, there is no need to pay any taxes, then generally it is not mandatory for them. If tax matters are involved, it is mandatory for them. Clear? But when they prepare the financial statement, even 1% activities are commercial, means on entire organization accounting standards have to be applied. Clear? This is the criteria of applicability of standards. The standards not depend on small size, big size. Standards depends on nature of activities. I hope now you understand. Now organization will prepare two types of financial statements. One is general purpose financial statement, another is special purpose financial statement. General purpose financial statement means it is accessible to every person. Means it can be accessed by any person like shareholder, debenture holder, creditor, banks, government, employees. It is available on the website of the company. Anybody can have the access. It is generally circulated in the public also if there is a requirement, but compulsory it will be circulated to shareholders. Mostly whenever annual general meeting is held, every shareholder will get the annual report. So in that annual report, financial statements part of annual report. So this type of financial statements are called as general purpose financial statement. So in general purpose financial statement, we have balance sheet, statement of P&L, cash flow statement, statement of changes in equity, okay, and consolidated financial statements. It is called as what? General purpose financial statements. So general purpose financial statement means generally anybody can have the access on that, and it can be useful to almost all types of users. There are two types of users of financial statements, okay, external also, internal also. So general purpose financial statements will be useful for both, but some of the financial statements are not useful for everyone. It is limited in use. It is generally used for management purpose, or it is used for some specific purpose only. So those types of financial statements are called as specific purpose financial statement, special purpose financial statement. Okay. So accounting standards are applicable on general purpose financial statements, not on special purpose financial statements. So in special purpose financial statements, what items are covered? Director report, minutes of annual general meeting, prospects of the company. Clear? And whenever some special audits are conducted, for that purpose you are preparing any statements. So those are called as special purpose financial statements. So on that you have no mandatory provisions regarding applicability of standards. But general purpose financial statement, whenever company prepares, there is mandatory obligation on the company to comply with accounting standards. Clear now? So in this topic, these are the aspects what I have discussed so far. See here. Accounting standards are applicable for general purpose financial statements. and other financial reporting which are subject to attestation function by ICA member. So it is applicable to all entities irrespective of form, activities, orientation. Means it can be applicable to companies also, cooperative societies also, partnership firm also. It can be applicable for commercial, industrial, business. It can be applicable for profit oriented also, charitable also, religious purpose, organizations also. Okay. But the important point here is, if any entity whose activities are 100% not related to commercial, industrial or business, then no need to comply with accounting standards. 100% activities should be non-commercial in nature. Even if 1% of the revenue is coming from commercial and 99% is non-commercial, in that circumstance also on entire organization accounting standard will be applicable. Clear? Now general purpose financial statement means, already I explained. These financial statements will be useful for both external and internal users. This include balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow, changes in equity, notes, etc. Clear? So 1% revenue is coming from commercial, remaining is not coming from non-commercial, means accounting standard applicable. 100% not related to commercial means no need to comply with accounting standards. Now suppose one student will have the doubt, sir, religious, charitable organizations also comply with the standard? Yes, if this is there. Like already I given the Isha Foundation example. Now they are selling some books, products on website. So commercial ho gaya hai wo. They are earning some profits also. Clear? Patanjali. Previously Patanjali is famous for what? Yoga. Clear? But right now Patanjali is totally commercial. Totally commercial. Mr. Ramdev Baba previously, what he said? You don't eat Maggi noodles. Now Patanjali noodles are coming in the market. Clear? So commercial. So accounting standard applicable. Patanjali company share is listed in NSE also, BSE also. NSE, BSE, it is listed. So commercial. Accounting standard applicable. Because listed company means big company. India is applicable. India is applicable. Clear? Next, some other important points. Means whenever there is a matter of dispute, means accounting standard and law, sometimes dispute will arise. So accounting standard should not override the provisions of law. Accounting standard should not override the provisions of law. Always accounting standards will be drafted and prepared by keeping all the provisions of law, by maintaining all the provisions of law without disturbing that. In some places, if disturbance arising, so act will generally overriding effect on accounting standards in the matter of disclosure. In the matter of disclosure. In some places, suppose any treatment is there. So in those treatment areas, if act is silent, then accounting standard will override. If act is silent, but accounting standard should not override the provisions of law. Clear? Example. What is this exactly, sir? We have not understand. Example. Suppose if you study accounting standard 13. This standard is related to accounting for investment. This standard is related to accounting for investment. Okay. So in this standard, investments are classified into two types. Investments are classified into two types. Okay. And in Companies Act balance sheet also, investments are classified into two types. So Companies Act balance sheet also, there are two types of investment. In accounting standard 13 also, there are two types of investments. So in Companies Act balance sheet, investment is non-current and current. These are two types of investment. In balance sheet of company, non-current investments, and current investment. This is the heading they mentioned. And in accounting standard 13, investments are long term and current or short term. So we cannot use long term investment word in balance sheet format. We have to use non-current investment only. So it means accounting standard cannot override the provisions of law. Accounting standard saying ki long term investment, short current investment. But Companies Act format is saying non-current investment, current investment. So which we have to use law. In law, format is there. So in format, what is mentioned? Non-current word is mentioned. So ultimately, we have to stick with that. So we have to use non-current word only. Long-term word we cannot use in balance sheet. If you write long-term investment, there is a violation of law. Because clearly they mentioned in the preface key accounting standard cannot override the provisions of law. This is one of the example. Clear? Next, in previous class already I explained कि whenever accounting standards are drafted and prepared, first objective decided, then scope decided, then different types of definitions, then recognition criteria, then presentation and disclosure, and sometimes measurement is also required. So this is also part of your preface. Sometimes some changes will take place, some amendments will take place like law. So whenever amendments or changes are taking place, the effect will be retrospective effect or effect will be prospective effect. Generally in accounting standards, effect will be prospective only, not retrospective. The reason is retrospective effects will disturb the previous year's financial statements also. Retrospective means what? Prospective means what? You have to understand properly. Okay? Retrospective means what? Prospective means what? You have to understand properly. Retrospective means suppose A Limited preparing the financial statement. So it has already prepared financial statement for 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Okay. For this years they have prepared the financial statements. Now one amendment has been made in the accounting standard. So because of this amendment, the changes have to be incorporated from 2022 onwards or in previous years also. Suppose in 2022 amendment has taken place. So from 2022 itself the changes have to be taken place or in earlier years also we have to make the changes. So accounting standard preface is saying ki whenever changes are taking place, in which year changes have done or changes have made, from that year only changes have to be incorporated. Earlier years there is no need to make any changes. So this is called as what? Prospective effect. This is called as what? Prospective effect. Suppose if earlier year figures also we have to change, then it is called as retrospective effect. It is called as what? Retrospective. So in accounting standards, mostly or in maximum cases, I can say the effect is prospective, because in preface they clearly mention ki effect must be prospective. Okay. So this is your all about preface to accounting standard. Clear? If any doubt is there, you can ask the question here. So previously in examination questions also tested. If you see what are the issues with which accounting standards deals, so you have to write the answer, this preface. Clear? Because you don't understand the question if this type of question is tested. Clear? So this question answer is what? You have to write the preface. What you have to write? Preface. Where it is applicable, on what basis applicable. It is applicable on general purpose or special purpose. Clear? And what items are covered. All this you have to mention here. Okay. Next, criteria of accounting standard means already we understand कि level 1 enterprise and non SMC all accounting standards applicable. Level 2, level 3 and SMC some of the accounting standards are exempted, like AS3, 17, 21, 23, 27 exempted, and in some cases some paragraphs also exempted, like for SMCs AS15, AS20, AS25, AS28, AS29 exempted, and AS19 also some of the paragraphs are exempted. In level 2, level 3 generally similar points are there, along with AS24 also covered in that. Clear? So in this question number 2 also have to write this answer. List the criteria to be applied for rating enterprises level 1 enterprise. So 5 conditions are given now that you have to mention here. Okay. So preface to accounting standard, I hope it is clearly understand. Now next is framework of financial statements. Framework of financial statements. Framework for financial statement means what? Framework for financial statement means ultimately financial statements will have how many items? Financial statements will have income, expenses, asset, liability. Clear? Means balance sheet, P&L. Financial statement means balance sheet, P&L, balance sheet, asset, liability, equity. 3 items important to understand. Asset, liability, equity. Clear? And P&L, expenses, incomes. Between this only all accounting standards are drafted. Here in these areas only generally accounting standard will guide you, because when standard view learn where it is applicable, either P&L or balance sheet, either P&L or balance sheet. So balance sheet means asset, liability or equity, P&L means expense or income. That's why we have to understand these 5 terms perfectly: asset, liability, equity, income, expense. So previously in what way you understand asset, liability, income, expense, equity, that is not again repeated here. Here terminology is different. Here advanced terminology is used, sophisticated terminology is used. Okay, previously what you learned, that is correct, but that will not match here. Like asset means students will simply say property. Asset means what? Property. Here definition is very vast, explanation is very vast. Okay, so we have to understand all these points here. So first already I explained that there are 2 types of financial statement. One is general purpose. One is what? In general purpose, balance sheet, statement of P&L, cash flow, notes, etc. will come. And statement special purpose financial statements different. So in that director report, statements by chairman, management and all. This is not part of financial statement. This is not part of the financial statement. These items only include. If a company is preparing consolidated balance sheet also part of this. Okay, like holding subsidiary relationships are there. So consolidated financial statement is also part of financial statement. If there is no holding subsidiary relationship, this will be part of financial statements. Okay. So examination MCQ, they can test this. The financial statement includes what? So these 3 items will not part of financial statements. Remember this. One is board of director report, management analysis, chairman statement. These are only used for higher authorities. This is not useful for public or shareholders. This is used for top authorities only. Okay. Next, what is notes to accounts? This also we have to understand. Notes to accounts means generally in balance sheet each and everything we cannot show on the face of balance sheet. On the face of balance sheet each and everything we cannot understand. Clear? So some of the only main items are disclosed on the face of balance sheet. Remaining details are mentioned in notes. Clear? Example, in balance sheet only property, plant, equipment will be mentioned. But in property, plant, equipment, we have different items like plant and machinery, fixture, fitting, clear, office equipment, clear, different items now. So everything we cannot disclose on the face of balance sheet. So this will be disclosed in what? Notes. Clear? Notes to accounts. That is called as what? Notes to accounts. So notes to accounts means in first year foundation level what financial accounting you learn, that is proprietary concern financial statement. So in that notes not required. In that, because size of the organization is very small now. So directly you will write plant machinery, directly you will write fixtures and fitting, directly you will write equipment, etc. But here company business is very vast, expanded business. So in company balance sheet, we have to disclose so much of stuff. What is opening balance of assets? How many additions have taken place? Then what is depreciation? Clear? Then depreciation of current year how much? Earlier year how much? Any asset which has been impaired, that also separately mentioned. Then net amount will be in order column. So all this we cannot disclose in balance sheet, because in one company sometimes 10 types of tangible assets will be there. So balance sheet will have limited space. Clear? Understand? That's why only on the face of balance sheet main items are disclosed, and in that whatever items will come, that will be shown in notes to accounts. That will be shown in notes to accounts. Clear? Next, whenever financial statements are prepared, before preparing the financial statements, certain fundamental accounting assumptions have to be complied with that. Fundamental accounting assumption means whenever you study the financial statement, you have to assume that financial statements are prepared on the basis of this. So this is underlying assumption. This is a underlying assumption. Clear? Suppose in Telangana, suppose you are making the friendship with one person. So first, what is your assumption कि this person is from Telangana? क्या पहले उसको समझ लेते का उत्तर प्रदेश मध्य प्रदेश क्या बोलकर? After discussing something, you generally understand कि this person is from Telangana or other states. But first underlying assumption is what? Telangana. Similarly, when you study the financial statements, certain underlying assumptions are there. What are those underlying assumptions? Clear? So there are three fundamental assumptions here. Okay. First assumption is going concern. First assumption is going concern. Second assumption is consistency. Third assumption is accrual. It means financial statement, whenever we study or analyze the financial statement, we have to assume that it is prepared on the basis of accrual. Don't assume that it is prepared on the basis of cash. If it is prepared on the basis of cash, the fact has to be disclosed. If no fact is disclosed, we have to assume what? The financial statements are prepared on accrual. Financial statements are prepared on accrual. This is the underlying assumption. This is called as what? Fundamental accounting assumptions. Fundamental accounting assumption. Suppose I am analyzing the financial statements of one company. So I have to assume that these financial statements are prepared on the basis of accrual only. Clear? I will not assume that this is prepared on cash. So first assumption is what? The financial statement which I am analyzing is prepared on the basis of accrual. If it is prepared on cash basis, means fact should be disclosed. First for your kind information, company cannot prepare financial statements on cash. Company has to prepare financial statement on accrual basis only. Proprietary can prepare financial statement on cash. Partnership firm can prepare financial statements on cash. But company have no choice. Company should always prepare financial statements on accrual only. This is the reason key first fundamental accounting assumption is what? Whenever you study financial statement of any person, any organization, assumption will be it is prepared on the basis of accrual. Otherwise, if it is not prepared on accrual, initially they should mention the fact that these financial statements are prepared on cash. Company will not have the option to prepare financial statement on cash, always accrual. Other enterprises will have the option. Company will have accrual only. Company will not have any option to prepare the financial statement on cash. कंपनी तो हमेशा किससे बनाना पड़ेगा? एक्रूवल से बनाना पड़ेगा. क्लियर? नेक्स्ट assumption. Suppose you are meeting with one person. So what is your assumption? Suppose you are making the friendship with one person. Every day you are meeting with each other. So today you meet. So what is your assumption? कि next day also will come or not? क्या यह सोचेंगे अगले दिन मर जाएंगे बोलकर? What is your assumption? Next day also will come, will meet. Okay, this is your assumption or not? So accounting assumption is also same. कि this company will survive in the next 12 months period also. It means there is a possibility कि this organization will survive for next 12 months also. That is called as going concern. It is called as what? Going concern. Suppose in next 12 months time, if organization is not able to survive, there is a possibility of bankrupt or insolvency, then the fact has to be disclosed by the person who is preparing financial statement. By कि foreseeable 12 months period, organization is not able to survive. If this is not mentioned, means your underlying assumption is what? In next 12 months, business will continue. Business will continue. Suppose if financial statement is provided to you, nothing is mentioned, so simply you should assume कि in next 12 months business will continue. Going concern means students will say very long period of time. या long कुछ भी नहीं है यहाँ पर. Going concern principle you understand in foundation ना? So going concern principle means what is your answer? A business enterprise should survive for very long period of time. ऐसे ही बोलते हैं ना आप? या कुछ दूसरा समझ क्या है वहां पर? आप क्या समझे मेरे को पता नहीं, आप बोलिए. A business will survive for very long. तो लॉन्ग पीरियड बोल तो कितना समय है? यहाँ पे 12 मंथ से डालना है. यहाँ पे समझ? यहाँ पे 100-200 साल का नहीं है यहाँ पर. Only 12 months. Next 12 months, if business is going to continue, going concern maintained. Next 12 months, there is a sign of discontinuation, insolvency, bankruptcy, then going concern is not met. Understand? If going concern is maintained, financial statements will be prepared differently. If going concern is not maintained, financial statements prepared in different way. This is very important. If going concern is maintained, means business is likely to continue, then there is a classification of assets, liabilities. As in assets, non-current assets, investment, current asset classification required. Liability is also shareholder fund, long-term is non-current liability, current liability classification required. Suppose if going concern is not maintained, there is no need of any classification. And similarly, depreciation also. If going concern is not maintained, no need of depreciation, because company will sell the asset. Depreciation is charged when asset is going to continue. If asset is going to sold, there is no need of any depreciation. So examination, different types of questions can be tested. Because of which assumption depreciation is charged, because of which assumption assets will be classified, liabilities will be classified, and if going concern assumption is not fulfilled, on balance sheet assets will be disclosed at net realizable value. If going concern is maintained, asset will be disclosed at cost or fair value. Cost or fair value. Because if going concern is not maintained, ultimately what is your objective? You have to sell. अब देखिए भाई, मुझे बिजनेस करना ही नहीं है तो मैं एसेट क्या करूंगा? बेचूंगा ना मैं. तो बैलेंस शीट में कौन सी वैल्यू पर दिखाऊंगा एसेट को मैं? एनआरवी. कॉस्ट पे किसे दिखाएंगे? नेट रिलाइजेबल वैल्यू. At what amount I can sell this asset, that value I will show. I will not show cost. When cost will be shown? When business is continued. When business is not going to continue, then ultimately I will sell the asset now. So NRV is required. What is required? NRV required. Net realizable value. Clear? So examination point of view, sometime question can be directly coming from going concern area. We'll discuss in AS1, don't worry. Next is consistency. Going concern, understand? Any doubt, queries? मैं पहले ही बोला हूँ अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ूंगा मैं, फिर अगर कुछ डाइजेशन प्रॉब्लम रहा तो बोलो. क्लियर? बट ये काम आता फाइनल में सीएमए वालों को. अभी नहीं आया तो नहीं आया, फाइनल में तो 100% काम आता. फिर भी कोई डाउट करिए तो बोलिए. नेक्स्ट, कंसिस्टेंसी. कंसिस्टेंसी मीन्स व्हाट? ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विल फॉलो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसीज. अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसीज मीन्स, ठीक है. कंसिस्टेंसी एक्चुअली फंडामेंटल अकाउंटिंग assumption you learned at फाउंडेशन लेवल ना, और फर्स्ट टाइम यू आर लर्निंग? इट वॉज देयर इन फाउंडेशन ऑल्सो ना. तो दो तो मैं समझा दिया, हो गया ना. व्हाट आई एक्सप्लेन, अक्रूवल आई एक्सप्लेन, गोइंग कंसर्न ऑल्सो एक्सप्लेन. और कंसिस्टेंसी, कंसिस्टेंसी एनी स्टूडेंट कैन एक्सप्लेन. ऑलरेडी आई गिवन द हिंट ऑल्सो. मीन्स वॉट एवर नॉलेज यू हैव यू कैन एक्सप्रेस, नो नीड टू फियर. Consistency means previously what accounting policies organization has followed, in current period also it has to follow the same. Clear? Suppose if they change, what will happen? Generally user of financial statement will not able to understand the things in proper way. Clear? Like daily we are changing the timetable. What will happen? Every day you will wait for message. Same timetable continued means no need to communicate also regarding timetable. Only class is there or not, that is important. That's it. Timetable will be same. But if daily timetable is changed, you have to check message. Similarly, user of financial statement also disturbed. If same type of accounting policies are not followed by the entity, user of financial statement will not have the proper understandability of financial statement. Clear? See, one of the quantitative characteristics of financial statement is understandability also. If this is lapse, this is not there in the financial statement, so ultimate purpose of financial statement will not accomplish. That's why consistency is important. But it does not mean ki don't change anything. It does not mean ki don't change anything. Suppose a newly married person came to your house. Daily you are changing kitchen room. She will confuse or not? Daily people are eating different things. Will confuse or not? The user of financial statements also same. Previous year financial statement is prepared in different way. This year financial statement prepared in different way. Previous year different policy. This year different policy. So he will not have proper understanding. This is the reason ki consistency required. But it does not mean ki changes should not be taken into take place. Changes also we have to consider. But when changes will be taken into consideration? When it is required by law. Very good. When it is required by law. Suppose if law already mentioned in Companies Act, one provision is made, okay, you cannot use this method of depreciation. You have to change method of depreciation. Then you have to change. There is no option available. Suppose in Companies Act previously percentage method was used. Now Companies Act clarified that no, percentage method is not possible now. You have to use useful life method. Depreciation should be calculated from useful life. You have to change or not? Compulsory have to change. So when it is required by law or statute, and when changes are making the more meaningful disclosure, then you can make the changes. Suppose previously you are following straight line method of depreciation, but your production pattern is not uniform. Sometimes you are produce more goods, sometimes you are produce less goods, sometimes your usage is high, sometimes your usage is less. Then straight line method is not suitable, no? Then which method is best suitable? WDV method or units of production method. Units of production method. So you can use these methods. So previously you use straight line, now you are switching to units of production method. This is more correct now, because financial statement should be prepared on true and fair. Financial statement should be prepared on true and fair. If your usage is different but your depreciation is same, so this is no true and fair. This is no true and fair now. Suppose previously you use 1 lakh hours, this year you use 50,000 hours only, but you are charging same depreciation, so it is true fair. That's why you can change here. You can change the method of depreciation. So when it is required by law, you can change, or when changes are making more meaningful result, then you can make the changes. Otherwise changes are not recommended. Changes are not suggested. So this is fundamental accounting assumption. This is what? So when you prepare the financial statements, first these fundamental accounting assumptions have to be covered. It means financial statements must be prepared on accrual basis. When user of financial statement is accessing towards financial statement, you should understand, you should assume ki financial statement prepared on accrual. Second, you should assume ki no changes has been taken place. Previously what policy is followed, this year also same policy followed. Third, business is likely to continue in future 12 months period also. These are the assumptions. These are the assumption. अब तुम्हारा अंडरलाइंग assumption क्या रहता है? सीए का एग्जाम लिखने गए तो पेपर इजी आता है, टफ आता? इजी आता बोल के कहते तो फेल हो जाते फिर. कभी भी इजी आता बोलकर नहीं जाना. क्या आता बोलकर जाना? टफ आता. और दूसरा assumption क्या रहता है? मैं पास होऊंगा या फेल होऊंगा, क्या सोच के जाते आप? पास होऊंगा बोलकर जाना, फेल हुआ तो फेल ही होते फिर आप. वैसे यहाँ पे कुछ assumptions है फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में. When you study the financial statement, analyze the financial statements, these are the assumptions to be followed. Okay, I hope this is clear to all students now. Next, take qualitative characteristics of financial statement. This is also important question. Qualitative characteristics of financial statement means when financial statements are prepared, it should be by default covers these areas. By default, financial statement should cover these areas. Means these are compulsory features of financial statements. Means first important point is understandability. Understandability means financial statement should be understandable to all. Ab all means generally anybody who is having the accounting sense. Anybody who is having the accounting sense or literate person. Clear? He can understand easily. Suppose he want to check sales. In balance sheet, sales, P&L statement, sales available. Previous year data also available, current year data also available. He can check easily and he can compare. Clear? Suppose if they do not give the sales figures properly, It is difficult for even for literate person also to trace out. Then it is understandable? No, not understandable. So first primarily qualitative characteristic is understandability. Means almost all every user of financial statement should understand the financial statements. Even if you check any financial statement, that is understandable. क्लियर? जैसे कल ही टाटा स्टील का रिजल्ट आया है, कल ही आया टाटा स्टील का रिजल्ट। प्रीवियस क्वार्टर में टाटा स्टील को 6,600 करोड़ का लॉस था, 6,600 करोड़ लॉस। इस क्वार्टर में उसको जो है 550 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट आया। तो प्रीवियसली लॉस से किस में आया उन्होंने? तो इसलिए शेयर्स में थोड़ा बहुत इंक्रीज हो सकता है। अब शेयर में क्या हो सकता है? थोड़ा जंप हो सकता है। HDFC बैंक प्रीवियसली रिजल्ट उसका अच्छा था, इस बार खराब रिजल्ट आया, तो सीधा 1650 से 1450 पे आ गया उन्होंने। पैनिक सेलिंग हो गई उसके अंदर। क्यों? परफॉर्मेंस सिर्फ एक क्वार्टर में खराब हो गया उसका। फिर वापस बाउंस बैक होता है, वो बड़ी कंपनी है, वापस से बाउंस बैक हो जाता है। विराट कोहली भी जीरो पे कई बार आउट हुआ है, महेंद्र सिंह धोनी भी कई बार जीरो पे आउट हुआ है, महेंद्र सिंह धोनी कई बार कई कप हार चुका है। ऐसा थोड़ी ना है कि हर कप महेंद्र सिंह धोनी जीता गया। तो ऐसे ही कुछ कंपनीज में कभी कभी कुछ फिगर्स खराब आते हैं। तो कंपैरिजन शुड बी इजी। So if you see Tata Steel yesterday's financial statement, easily you can understand कि previous year what is the net profit, this year what is the net profit, previous year what is the sale, this year what is the sales. Easily मालूम पड़ जाता है, देखते हैं आपको, उसको बोलते हैं अंडरस्टैंडेबिलिटी। अभी मैं दिखाता था लेकिन अब तो टाइम नहीं है मेरे पास। अब मैं उसको ऑन करना 5 मिनट उसमें चले जाते, फिर मैं इसको डाउनलोड करना स्टेटमेंट्स को। आप घर पे जाके देख लो। रेवेन्यू रहता है टाटा स्टील का, पिछले साल था उसका रेवेन्यू 60,000 करोड़, इस बार हुआ है उसका 76,000 करोड़। तो 16,000 करोड़ से इंक्रीज हुआ है और नेट प्रॉफिट में 3% का इंक्रीमेंट हुआ है ईयर ऑन ईयर बेसिस पर। रेवेन्यू में भी इंक्रीमेंट हुआ है। एक्सिस बैंक का रिजल्ट खराब आया है इस बार थोड़ा, क्लियर? तो इसलिए एक्सिस बैंक का शेयर भी माइनस में है, कल भी माइनस में था, आज भी माइनस में है। समझ में आया बात? तो शेयर होल्डर्स जो पैसे इन्वेस्ट करते हैं वो लोग रिजल्ट को देखकर भी कुछ लोग होल्ड करते, कुछ लोग बेच देते। तो कैसा मालूम पड़ रहा है शेयर होल्डर को? फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स को समझ में आ रहा ना, इसलिए तो बेच रहा खरीद रहा हूं, इसलिए अंडरस्टैंडेबल है वो। क्लियर? इजीली कंपैरिजन इज पॉसिबल, अंडरस्टैंडेबिलिटी। तो नेक्स्ट इज व्हाट? रिलेवेंट। सो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट शुड प्रोवाइड relevant information only. What is necessary for decision making, that only it should mention. Unnecessary stuff is not covered in that. Okay? जैसे हॉल टिकट आता है घर पे आपके, तो आप क्या करते हैं? बोलो हॉल टिकट में पहले क्या देखते हैं? अपना रोल नंबर देखते हैं, सेंटर देखते हैं, एग्जाम कौन कौन से डेट पे वो देखते हैं, उसके नीचे के इंस्ट्रक्शन कोई भी नहीं पढ़ता। अब जिसको काम धंधा कुछ भी नहीं है, पढ़ना कुछ भी नहीं है, उन्होंने क्या करता? इंस्ट्रक्शन पढ़ता हूं, बराबर ना? बाकी के लोग तो क्या देखते हैं? सिर्फ रोल नंबर, एग्जाम सेंटर, डेट्स, टाइमिंग्स एग्जाम की। अब बाकी सब इंस्ट्रक्शन पढ़ते क्या? अब इंस्ट्रक्शन पढ़ने के 10 इंस्ट्रक्शन रहते हैं उसमें, वो आपके लिए उतना ज़्यादा मायने नहीं रखता ना। इसलिए क्या करते हैं आप? रिलेवेंट क्या है आपके लिए? 4 एडम्स ओनली, just 4 items only students will see. So here also useful information only, relevant information only financial statement should provide. Unnecessary information is not required. Here like revenue how much, expenses how much, what is the assets, amounts year ending, beginning, depreciation how much, similarly share capital previously how much, now how much, clear what is earning per share, clear previously, right now. This is important information. अब उसमें फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में नीचे थोड़ी ये थोड़ी ना लिखेंगे उन्होंने कि मुकेश अंबानी के बेटे की आज एंगेजमेंट हुई है, मुकेश अंबानी के बेटे ने आज मर्सिडीज बेंज नई गाड़ी खरीदी है। ये मेंशन करता क्या उन्होंने? आपके लिए काम का इन्फॉर्मेशन है क्या ये? आप बोलेंगे उन्होंने मर्सिडीज बेंज खरीदा, मुझे क्या करना है उससे, मेरे को क्या फायदा है उससे? फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में रेवेन्यू बढ़ा तो आपको फायदा है। क्यों? यू आर ए इन्वेस्टर, If company revenue increasing, generally you will feel happy. If company net profit increases, you will feel happy. मुकेश अंबानी के परिवार में कोई नया सदस्य का जन्म हुआ तो आपको क्या करना है उससे? तो ये आपके काम का इन्फॉर्मेशन है क्या? इसलिए जो काम का इन्फॉर्मेशन है वही डालते हो लोग, वहाँ बेकार इन्फॉर्मेशन लिखते ही नहीं वो लोग. क्लियर? नेक्स्ट, मेटेरियलिटी. मेटेरियलिटी मीन्स व्हाट? Any information which is significant for your decision, that is called as material. That is called as what? Material. Material means small amount, big amount नहीं रहता ही है. Any information which is significant for your decision making, if company does not disclose that, economic decision making of user of financial statement can be affected. Those items are called as material items. भाई कोई आइटम को वो लोग नहीं डिस्क्लोज करने के कारण या डिस्क्लोज करने के कारण उसका डिसीजन मेकिंग चेंज हो सकता है, वो क्या बन जाएगा? मटेरियल. आया समझ में? तो मटेरियल इंफॉर्मेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बिकॉज ऑफ मटेरियल इंफॉर्मेशन ओनली पीपल विल होल्ड द शेयर्स और पीपल विल सेल द शेयर्स. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज व्हाट? मटेरियलिटी. क्लियर? अब एग्जांपल के लिए जैसे कुछ एग्जांपल ले लेंगे. टाटा केमिकल के शेयर में पैसे लगाए आप, किस में लगाए? टाटा केमिकल. टाटा केमिकल नहीं, टाटा पावर के बारे में बोलता हूं मैं. चलो, टाटा पावर. So recently Prime Minister has started one new project, solar project. Now Tata Power is generally very much interested in this project because they want to work with government. Then you are an investor in Tata Power. Now you will sell or hold the shares. Hold करते क्यों? If government is giving the generally projects to Tata Power, then Tata Power revenue will increase, profitability will increase, so your share price will also increase or not. So this fact has to be mentioned in financial statement. तो बोलते हैं material. That is what? Material. So any item which is material that should be affecting the economic decision making of user of financial statement, that should be reflected in financial statement, either in balance sheet, P&L or in notes. Notes में mention करते ज़्यादातर. कहाँ mention करते हो लोग? Notes. कहाँ पर mention करेंगे? Notes में. Next is reliability. Reliability means the financial statements which is prepared by a company should be reliable. Reliable means trustworthiness बोलते, देखो उसको क्या बोलते हैं? Trustworthiness, भरोसेमंद. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? भरोसेमंद. तो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स भरोसेमंद होना जरूरी है नहीं है? So on what basis it will be trusted? First it will be complied by accounting standards, then only it will be reliable. If accounting standards are not complied, it will be reliable? No. But apart from this, financial statement should cover other considerations also. So financial statements will be reliable if two considerations are covered. दो तरह के consideration रहते हैं उसमें. पहला कंसिडरेशन रहता है प्राइमरी, दूसरा रहता है सेकेंडरी. प्राइमरी कंसिडरेशन मीन्स फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट शुड बी प्रिपेयर्ड ऑन ट्रू एंड फेयर. ट्रू एंड फेयर. Second consideration means generally these three items: substance over form, prudence, completeness of information. This we will cover in accounting standard 1 also again. It means when your financial statements will be reliable, when financial statements will cover these aspects. First, it should be true and fair. Second, these three aspects. True and fair means when you comply the accounting standard, by default you assume it is true and fair. Next, while preparing financial statement, you have to cover these aspects also: substance over form, prudence, and completeness of the information. So substance over form means what? Substance over form means what? Substance over form means reality is more important than legality. लीगैलिटी नहीं चाहिए अपने को, क्या चाहिए? रियलिटी चाहिए. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, you have taken one asset on lease, one building you have taken on lease, and that building you are using for hotel, clear, and you are paying the lease rent. Now from that building revenue is coming to landlord and revenue is coming to lessee also. Lessee means the person who is using the building. Okay, so in accounting who will write lease on asset side of balance sheet? Suppose A के पास एक बिल्डिंग है, ध्यान से सुनो एग्जांपल. Suppose A is having one building. A has given this building to be on lease. Okay, now B is using this building for hotel business. Now B is paying lease rent. So A is landlord, B is lessee, right? So lessee is using the building. Lessee is also generating revenue from the building or not? And A lessor, landlord, is also earning income by way of rent or not? Now the question is whether B can mention this lease property in the balance sheet or not. Answer is yes. Answer is yes. Why answer is yes? Because legality not important. Reality is important. Asset is in whose control right now? B's control. Who is producing more revenue from that building? B. So in accounting, definition of asset is different. Accounting definition of asset is not based on ownership. Accounting definition of asset is based on revenue generation pattern and control pattern. समझ में है ना? अब सपोज यूबर ओला में सपोज वन पार्ट टाइम जॉब कर रहे हैं आप. सपोज वन स्टूडेंट इज वेरी हार्ड वर्किंग स्टूडेंट इज डूइंग सीए कोर्स ऑल्सो एंड इवनिंग टाइम में नो कार कैब चला रहा है वो पैसों के लिए. तो ही परचेज दी मारुति स्विफ्ट कार ऑन EMI, right? Now car is in control of student who is earning the revenue, bank who financed or the student who is driving the car, student only. So revenue is coming to students and control is also in the hands of student. So student can disclose this as an asset. Substance is important. In accounting, which person is generating revenue, in which person's control asset is there, that persons can show the assets in their books of accounts. So this is called as substance over form. So reality is important, not legality. Legally तो उसका ओनर कौन है? बैंक जो फाइनेंस करा उन्होंने है. बट राइट नाउ रियलिटी में कौन ओनर है? जो कार को ड्राइव कर रहा है. क्लियर? ये समझना पड़ेगा आपको सब्सटेंस ओवर फॉर्म. तो कहाँ पर आता सब्सटेंस ओवर फॉर्म? व्हेन यू लर्न अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड 19, व्हेन यू लर्न हायर परचेज चैप्टर. ओके, व्हेन वन पर्सन इज सेलिंग द प्रॉपर्टी, एक पर्सन प्रॉपर्टी बेच दी है. ठीक है, वन मोर एग्जाम्पल, ये आगे आएगा फिर आपको सुनो अच्छे से. सपोज ए हैज वन बिल्डिंग, he has made the agreement with B to sell the building. He has taken some token money also, advance money also, but building is not transferred from A to B till balance sheet date. Till balance sheet date. इस बैलेंस शीट डेट के दिन बिल्डिंग ए के नाम पे ही है, बट ए जो है बी से एडवांस ले चुका है. ए जो है बी से एडवांस ले चुका है बिल्डिंग बेचने के लिए, और बाकी का कंसिडरेशन बी उसको पे कर देगा. तो ए से बी के नाम पे प्रॉपर्टी ट्रांसफर नहीं हुई अभी. ओके, So when 31st March balance sheet is prepared, he can show building in balance sheet asset side, or he cannot disclose building on asset side. He should not disclose the building, क्योंकि उसका बिल्डिंग अब बिक गया है. लीगल में तो यही ओनर है अभी, 31st March बैलेंस शीट डेट, बट प्रैक्टिकल सिचुएशन हु परचेज दिस, भी अब फ्यूचर में किसको जाएगा बिल्डिंग को. तो 31st March पे ए ओनर है लीगली, बट इन रियलिटी हु इज ओनर. तो लीगलिटी इज नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट इन अकाउंटिंग, रियलिटी इंपॉर्टेंट. अंडरस्टैंड. तो बोलते हैं सब्सटेंस ओवर फॉर्म, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज व्हाट, सब्सटेंस ओवर फॉर्म. क्लियर. अब देखिए फाउंडेशन में जो पढ़ के आते हैं ना आप यही समझो कि हम कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ के आए, तो ज़्यादा अच्छा समझ में आएगा सब्जेक्ट. आप अगर ओवर कॉन्फिडेंस में एब्सेंट हो जाएंगे, नहीं मेरे को तो ये स्वभाव था मैं घर में बैठ के पढ़ लूँगा सोचेंगे, तो लॉस आपका होता. फिर बेस्ट क्या है कि वी डोंट नो एनीथिंग. क्लास में पूरा जीरो से बैठो, पूरा अच्छा समझ में आएगा आपको. क्लियर. क्योंकि एक पॉइंट भी एग्जाम में अगर जो है गलत लिख दिया आप, तो पहले सीए का एग्जाम है वो, नो मार्क्स बहुत काट कुट कर देता है. वो मार्क्स बढ़ा कर देने का तो सोचने में अपन सीए का एग्जाम में 10 मार्क का क्वेश्चन लिखे आप, तो अपन यही समझना कि अपने उसमें 10 में से कमी आएंगे. 10 के 10 मुश्किल से आते हैं. पूरा सही लिखे तो भी 10 के 10 नहीं देते वो लोग, 9 ही देते वहाँ पर. बहुत कम सिचुएशंस में 10 आउट ऑफ 10 आते हैं आपको. नेक्स्ट इज प्रूडेंस. प्रूडेंस मीन्स व्हाट. सीए के एग्जाम को जा रहे हैं आप, क्या सोचते हैं आप कि मैं पास हो जाऊंगा या फेल हो जाऊंगा. पास हो जाऊंगा अगर पेपर अच्छा लिखूंगा तो. खाली सोच के गए तो पास हो जाते क्या. या एग्जाम में परफॉर्म भी करना पड़ता है. परफॉर्म भी तो करना पड़ेगा ना. पर अंडरलाइंग अजम्पशन क्या रहता अपना, कहीं ना कहीं दिल में क्या रहता, डर, पेपर थोड़ा भी डिफरेंट आए तो मैं फेल भी हो सकता हूँ. तो बिफोर गोइंग टू द एग्जाम हॉल ऑलवेज व्हाट यू थिंक, this is a challenging examination, CA/CMA examination. You have to study hard. Paper can be sometimes simple also, sometimes difficult side also. So you have to prepare in perfectly. Don't take any risk. तो ये आपका assumption है नहीं है, तो उसको क्या बोलते हैं, पहले नेगेटिव सोचो बाद में पॉजिटिव सोचो. तो प्रूडेंस उसको बोलते हैं. कंजर्वेटिज्म. प्रूडेंस मीन्स व्हाट, कंजर्वेटिज्म. कंजर्वेटिव रहना. आप क्या रहना, हमेशा कंजर्वेटिव रहना. तो एंटिसिपेट ऑल पॉसिबल लॉसेस बट डू नॉट एंटिसिपेट एनी प्रॉफिट्स अंटिल अदरवाइज इज रियलाइज्ड. लाइक प्रोविजन फॉर बैड डेट्स इज एग्जांपल ऑफ प्रूडेंस. इज एग्जांपल ऑफ व्हाट, प्रूडेंस. व्हाई देयर इज ए प्रोविजन रिक्वायर्ड ऑन डेटार. इन फ्यूचर डेटार्स कैन डिफॉल्ट ना भाई, अभी तो डिफॉल्ट नहीं करा ना, फ्यूचर में कर सकता. सो इन फ्यूचर ही कैन मेक द डिफॉल्ट. इन फ्यूचर प्रॉफिट्स कैन बी डिक्लाइंड. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट यू आर मेकिंग प्रोविजन ना. सो दैट इज व्हाट, प्रूडेंस. प्रूडेंस का मतलब क्या है, कंजर्वेटिज्म. कंजर्वेटिज्म. कंजर्वेटिज्म मीन्स व्हाट, इन फ्यूचर some negative incident can take place and your profits can decline. So because of that provision is required on debtor. Provision is required on debtor. Clear. But when you make the provision, generally without following anything you will make the provision. Or here also some framework is required. Framework required. Professional judgment is required. The person who make the provision those people will have the professional judgment. Before making the provision they will check which data is good, which data is doubtful. So according to that they will make the provision. According to that they will make the provision. अब जैसे 100% में सपोज 1 लाख डेटा है, पूरा 1 लाख पे कर देते, और 5-10% ओनली, 5-10%, बिकॉज 90% डेटार्स विल बी अज्यूम्ड एज व्हाट, गुड. 5-10% डेटार्स ओनली अज्यूम्ड एज व्हाट, doubtful. So on those only provision is made. So professional judgment is required. व्हाट इज रिक्वायर्ड? प्रोफेशनल जजमेंट। तो प्रोविजन का मतलब क्या है? प्रोविजन मीन्स व्हाट? अब देखिए, प्रोविजन फॉर डाउटफुल डेट्स में समझा दिया क्या है। अब प्रोविजन का मतलब बोलो क्या है? प्रोविजन इज ए लाइबिलिटी। ये डेटार का जो प्रोविजन है ना, ये प्रोविजन अलग है, और अकाउंटिंग में जो प्रोविजन का डेफिनेशन है वो अलग है। डेटार प्रोविजन इज नॉट ए लाइबिलिटी। डेटार प्रोविजन इज नॉट ए लाइबिलिटी, बट इन अकाउंटिंग प्रोविजन वर्ड इज हैविंग डिफरेंट मीनिंग, लाइक प्रोविजन फॉर टैक्स, प्रोविजन फॉर ग्रेचुटी, प्रोविजन फॉर रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट्स, ये पढ़ते ना आप, दैट प्रोविजन इज डिफरेंट। डेटार प्रोविजन इज डिफरेंट। डेटार प्रोविजन इज नॉट ए लाइबिलिटी, it is only a charge against profits. It is only a charge against profits. Okay, but actually meaning of provision is different. तो AS 29 में आता है, कहाँ पर आता है वो? AS 29 प्रोविजन कॉन्टिजेंट एसेट कॉन्टिजेंट लाइबिलिटी में आता है वो, वहाँ पढ़ लेंगे डिटेल में आप। तो प्रोविजन का डेफिनेशन है, प्रोविजन इज अ लाइबिलिटी which is measured by using substantial degree of estimation, which is measured by using substantial degree of estimation. Estimation लगता है उस पे। Estimation means what? Which is not certain. On that we'll estimate how much is possible, how much is not possible. Like 5% required, 10% required, 15 required. The estimation required. So provision for doubtful debts will be decided by whom? Management. Because this is a estimation. This is what? So management will decide this. ये CA डिसाइड नहीं करता है, कौन डिसाइड करता है? ये मैनेजमेंट। मुकेश अंबानी बोला भाई 2% करो, CA खामोश 2% करना पड़ता है उसको। क्लियर? ये सब मैनेजमेंट का काम है। एस्टिमेशन, यूजफुल लाइफ ऑफ द एसेट इज ऑल्सो डिसाइडेड बाय हुम? मैनेजमेंट। तो प्रोविजन फॉर डाउटफुल डेट्स इज द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ प्रूडेंस। और एक एग्जाम्पल क्या रहता है? इन्वेंट्री वैल्यूएशन। नेक्स्ट इज व्हाट? इन्वेंट्री वैल्यूएशन। Inventory should be valued at cost. If cost is generally more, net realizable value is less, then inventory is valued at what? NRV. Clear? Suppose if NRV is more, cost is less, you are valuing the inventory at NRV, what will happen? Very good. Unrealized profit आता है। देखिए, net realizable value is 200 rupees. कॉस्ट इज 180 रुपीज। नेट रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू का मतलब सेलिंग प्राइस, नेट ऑफ एक्सपेंसेस, नेट ऑफ एक्सपेंसेस। तो 200 रुपीज नेट रियलाइजेबल वैल्यू, 180 रुपीज कॉस्ट। सपोज 1000 यूनिट्स ऑफ इन्वेंट्री इज देयर, so if you value according to 200, so in your calculation on every unit 20 rupees profit will come or not? 200 सेलिंग प्राइस है उसका, 180 कॉस्ट है, तो 220 रुपये प्रॉफिट है नहीं उसके अंदर। 200 minus 180, हाउ मच प्रॉफिट? 20. So on every unit 20 rupees profit will come in books of accounts or not? So this profit you realized, so this is unrealized profit. So to eliminate unrealized profit, prudence required. प्रूडेंस क्यों चाहिए भाई? तुम अकाउंटेंट है कंपनी के, कॉस्ट NRV पे करना है वैल्यूएशन, तो आप किस पे करेंगे? विच एवर लोअर, विच एवर लोअर। सपोज इफ यू डू नॉट फॉलो दिस, व्हाट विल हैपन? अनरियलाइज्ड प्रॉफिट विल कम इन बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स। टू एलिमिनेट अनरियलाइज्ड प्रॉफिट, प्रूडेंस रिक्वायर्ड। अंडरस्टैंड? प्रूडेंस क्यों चाहिए? बुक्स में अनरियलाइज्ड प्रॉफिट नहीं आना, इसलिए बनाए उसको। क्लियर? आ रहा है समझ में? नेक्स्ट है कंप्लीटनेस ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन। कंप्लीटनेस ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन मीन्स न्यूज चैनल के जैसा हेडिंग नहीं आना, कंप्लीट रहना वो। न्यूज चैनल में क्या हेडिंग डालता है? ईरान ने पाकिस्तान पर डैश। अब आप परेशान, युद्ध हो गया या होने वाला है? जब एडवर्टाइजमेंट डाल देता उन्हें, क्या डाल देता? एडवर्टाइजमेंट। फिर वो पूरे एडवर्टाइजमेंट होने के बाद न्यूज़ बोलता हूँ, ईरान ने पाकिस्तान पर बम डालने के लिए सोचा। आप बोलते हैं बेकार न्यूज़ खाऊंगा, बंद करो इसको। आप क्या सोच रहे हैं, कहीं ईरान पाकिस्तान पे बम डाल देगा तो स्टॉक मार्केट तो गिरने जाएगा कहीं? आप ईरान में पाकिस्तान में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है, आप शेयर मार्केट में इंटरेस्टेड है। क्यों? वार हुआ तो शेयर मार्केट गिरता ना, क्या गिरता? शेयर मार्केट गिरता वार हुआ तो। क्यों? इसका असर बाकी के कंट्रीज पे भी रहता है। फिर वार स्टार्ट होगा तो लोग पूरा किसमें बिजी रहेंगे? उसमें बिजी रहेंगे, शेयर मार्केट में थोड़ी बिजी रहेंगे। तो आप किसमें इंटरेस्टेड है? शेयर मार्केट में। आपको ईरान पाकिस्तान से कुछ मतलब नहीं है, लेकिन वो अब चैनल में क्या कर रहा हूँ ना, बराबर बता रहा है, अब टीज कर रहा है आपको। तो इसलिए क्या है, इंफॉर्मेशन हमेशा क्या होना? कंप्लीट होना। इनकम्प्लीट इंफॉर्मेशन से क्या होता है, आपको गलत डिसीजन होता है। क्या होता है? गलत डिसीजन होता है। इसलिए कंप्लीटनेस ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन इज नेसेसरी। व्हेन कंपनी सो मच ऑफ स्टफ इज अवेलेबल, तो what is necessary stuff that should be mentioned completely, what is reliable, what is relevant, that information should be provided completely, जो आपके डिसीजन मेकिंग पर अफेक्ट कर सकता। क्लियर? बिकॉज ऑफ दैट यू कैन होल्ड द और यू कैन सेल द शेयर्स, और यू कैन कंटिन्यू विद द कंपनी, और यू कैन चूज अनदर कंपनी ऑल्सो। क्लियर? Last and finally is comparability. Comparability means one company with another company. Intra-firm comparison, inter-firm comparison, both are important. Intra-firm comparison means company with company, like Tata Steel previous quarter result, this quarter result. Tata Steel previous year result, this year result. बोलते हैं इंट्रा। टाटा स्टील का प्रीवियस परफॉर्मेंस, करंट परफॉर्मेंस यू आर कंपेयरिंग, दिस इज इंट्रा। इंटर मीन्स यू आर कंपेयरिंग टाटा स्टील विद JSW स्टील। क्लियर? बोथ आर बिग मार्केट प्लेयर्स। JSW स्टील का भी मार्केट शेयर बहुत हाई है स्टील में, टाटा स्टील का भी बहुत शेयर हाई है मार्केट शेयर। सो यू आर कंपेयरिंग बोथ, राइट? दिस इज इंटर फर्म कंपेरिजन। नेक्स्ट इज सपोज you invested in Infosys, now you are comparing TCS Infosys, TCS Infosys, because TCS is also generally taking the various orders from UK, US, different parts of the world. TCS is also having global business, so both are in IT sector only, so you are comparing both companies. So this is called an inter-firm comparison. Okay, तो कंपैरिजन के लिए भी अच्छा रहता है, क्योंकि किसी कंपनी का परफॉर्मेंस बढ़ रहा है, किसी का कम हो रहा है, तो बढ़ने वाले में पैसे लगाएंगे आप, इसका डिक्रीज हो रहा हट जाएंगे उससे आप। क्लियर? अब जैसे HDFC बैंक है, परफॉर्मेंस डिक्रीज हो रहा, ICICI बैंक का परफॉर्मेंस बढ़ रहा, तो आप क्या करेंगे, HDFC बैंक के बेच देंगे शेयर, ICICI में लगाएंगे पैसा आप। क्या ICICI का रिजल्ट अच्छा है इस बार, HDFC का रिजल्ट खराब आया इस बार, आपको दिख रहा है कि HDFC आगे भी खराब आएगा रिजल्ट, तो क्या करेंगे फिर आप, बेचेंगे शेयर, HDFC से बाहर आएंगे, ICICI में लगाएंगे आप। तो कंपैरिजन करना बोलते हैं उसको, क्या बोलते हैं? कंपैरिजन। सो इंटर फर्म कंपैरिजन, इंट्रा फर्म कंपैरिजन। ओके, तो इंट्रा फर्म कंपैरिजन में उसी कंपनी का प्रीवियस क्वार्टर और प्रीवियस ईयर से कंपैरिजन करना। इंटर मीन्स इट इज कंपेयर विद अदर कंपनी। क्लियर है? यहां तक पूरा समझ में आ गया अच्छे से? कोई डाउट क्वेरी है? अब नेक्स्ट क्लास आई विल एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ असेट, लायबिलिटी, इक्विटी, ओके, एक्सपेंसेस, इनकम। क्लियर? अब बोलेंगे मेरे को तो सब असेट मालूम है, आप क्या पढ़ाने वाले हैं इसमें नया बोल के बोलेंगे आप। मालूम है तो बहुत अच्छा है भाई, नहीं मालूम है सुन लो। क्लियर? आफ्टर दिस आपको अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड अच्छा समझ में आएगा। ये बिना पढ़े अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड में जंप करे समझो तो शेयर मार्केट में बिना लालच के पैसे लगाए तो कैसी होती हालत, पैसा हो जाता है फिर।